Pep Guardiola. The Manchester City of Pep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola.
Forward by Cancelo. They're screaming for the whistle. They're begging for the whistle.
Manchester City. Manchester City. I love Pep Guardiola.
You don't like to touch balls? So I love it. So yeah, come.
10 years, 20 trophies. 2 trophies every year. Thank you, Pep. Pep, you were the best. Pep Guardiola has been Manchester City's manager for 40% of my life. That's 10 years between age 16 to age 26. That means I've gone through college, KTs, homeworks, girlfriends, jobs, joblessness, corona, depression. And the only constant in this not so constant life has been a bald man screaming at his players with a water bottle in his hand. But that bald man will leave Man City now. And that makes me very sad. Because the moments I've experienced together are for life. I mean, where do I even begin? I've written it down. The Jesus goal for 100 points, the Aston Villa comeback, the Son miss, the 4-0 versus Real Madrid, the John Stones clearance, the Rodri goal, and don't shoot, Vinny. Don't shoot. I imagine when I'm old and my grandkids visit me, I'll tell them about these moments. I'll tell them about our battles with Liverpool. But I think I'll also tell them about Sterling's miss versus Lyon, the Spurs defeat on away goals, the Chelsea final loss, the Bernabeu collapse, and Rudiger's bleak run after the penalty shootout. Yes, that hurt. I'll tell them about these moments to let them know that heartbreaks are okay and that you'll be fine and that the sun rises tomorrow. Because kids, rather a heartbreak than boredom and mediocrity. Our victories have been glorious, but you know what? Even our defeats have been glorious. And when you play glorious football, I promise you one thing, you'll win more than you lose. Centurions, formidables, treble winners, 4 in a row, and 20 trophies in 10 years. If you would have asked the 15-year-old me what these words meant, I would have been like, what? But today they mean so much. Today they mean history. Under Pep Guardiola, we have won more than anybody else, and we did it by playing the sexiest football on this planet.
He's looked for him straight away. That's delightful from Sterling. Sane looks for him again. Manchester City trying to thread the eye of the needle here, and they're managing it. Aguero, David Silva, Leroy Sane. Finally, Southampton take charge.
Now I could talk more about the records, the statistics, the revolutionary tactics, but I will not. Let's leave that stuff to the record keepers and thinkers of the game. What I want to do instead, as a City fan, is talk about typical City and how Pep got us somewhat away from that. Now what is typical City? Typical City is to win the league one year and become the only English team to be relegated the next. Is to score 100 goals and concede 100 goals in the same season. Is to be relegated after scoring an own goal. Typical City is to grab defeat from the jaws of victory. It's to turn a seemingly winnable situation into something that is as chaotic and as stressful as humanly possible. So that includes losing to Spurs all the time, allowing that Real Madrid comeback, needing an Aguero goal to save us, needing a Dickoff goal to promote us, or somehow scoring thrice in 6 minutes to win another Premier League. You know what's most typical City? Is to say goodbye to Pep Guardiola with a defeat. So of course, Pep has not eradicated this clumsy anticlimactic nature of our club. Perhaps no one will, because that's who we are. That's who I am. But what Pep has done is he has removed our fears from it. He turned our mentality from God will play a twisted joke and it will all go wrong to, hey, maybe it will go right.
Alex Ferguson, they put you through the mill into injury time, almost lost the cup, and you win it. The new European
Look, we don't have a glorious past, we don't have a huge global fan base, and we were certainly not used to playing on the biggest stages of football. But by simply competing and being there all the time, things have changed. Like, I don't know how to explain this to fans of other clubs, but I feel extremely happy when I spot a stranger wearing a Man City jersey in Mumbai, because there were hardly any in 2015. So I don't expect you to understand when I say that it's a privilege to play Real Madrid every year in the Champions League. It's a privilege to compete with Liverpool for Premier League titles, because that's how clubs grow, by competing. Look, results are results. Like, of course you lose a football match, of course you lose a final, who doesn't? But Pep made sure that we were always there. He took us from maybe we'll nick an FA Cup to if we don't win the Premier League or the Champions League, it's a disappointing season. And that is his biggest legacy, because every manager who succeeds him now will carry this weight. Again, we don't have a glorious history. But I saw glorious history right in front of my eyes. Not on YouTube, not in black and white photos, but on live television. And that is something that nobody can take away from City fans. And finally, I want to talk about Pep's Premier League legacy beyond Man City. You see, people in sports are much easier to admire when their prospect of fear is no longer there. What I mean by that is, it is much easier to love Ricky Ponting now because he can't score against us, can he? So, when all is said and done, people eventually give greatness its flowers. I think the same will ring true for Pep's Man City. When they can't dismantle your favorite football team anymore, they will become easier to admire, to respect. Because it is not normal to break football records every other Saturday. It is not normal to make an entire country obsessed with playing out from the back. And it is not normal for your students to become elite managers themselves. In fact, there's something strangely fulfilling about Pep's legacy, that in his final season ever, it's one of the students that beat him. I also want to say a word about Klopp, because how can there be a Guardiola story without Klopp? You see, a time will come in the future when chances, emotions and memories fade away and only the raw numbers stay. So teenagers of future might ask, what's so special about Klopp? He only won one title. It is then that an older Manchester City fan in me will testify otherwise, because to insult the efforts of Klopp's Liverpool is to insult the achievements of Pep's Man City. Only we know what it took to beat them. So yeah, there will always be respect for Klopp from our side. He was the only one who pushed us to our absolute limits.
Why shouldn't we speak? Yeah, we speak comfortably.
And
Pep Guardiola.
So yeah, Pep Guardiola will leave Manchester City now. That means somebody else will stand by the sideline. Somebody else would be sung about, remembered and lifted by the players. Because such is the infinite nature of football. It won't stop. It won't stop till the robots play on the moons of Jupiter. But the universe shall always know that for a blink of a time, it was just me, him and Manchester. I guess at the end, all I really want to say is thank you, Pep. Thank you for showing us the zenith of club football. We have won trophies that fingers could never count. We have played football that words could never describe. And we have seen things. That people will never believe.
Ming saw it. In goes De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne! Gundogan! From the brink of despair, elation. From catastrophe, cacophonic joy. The stuff of stellar champions.
Thank you, Pep. Thank you. You were the best. For the rest of my life, nothing will hit in football as much as it did with you.